And welcome to Newcastle. That is the Millennium Bridge, that is the River Tyne, so you know we're in Newcastle. I'm Dan Dawson. I'm absolutely buzzing for the start of the Premier League and to be working with the sportsman for the next 4 months for one of the biggest tournaments in world darts. £250,000 to the winner of the Premier League. That is second only to the World Championship, and for my money that is the hardest tournament to win, harder than the World Championship, because you've got non-stop, game after game, the top players in the world. But this one is a little bit different because we've had Gary Anderson, who is the biggest rival to Michael van Gerwen. I think everybody's pretty much agreed on that. He's pulled out because of a back injury. Now, instead of just replacing him with somebody like Simon Whitlock, the PDC have decided to bring in a different player each week for the first 9 weeks, and that makes this completely unique. Now, we're going to see a load of up-and-coming players. They're calling them the contenders. All four categories, all four nominees rather, for the PDC World Youth Player of the Year, Max Hopp, Jeffrey Desvaughn, Luke Humphries and Dimitri Vandenberg. They're involved, they're up-and-coming young players. But we've also got the likes of Glenn Durrant, the 3-time Lakeside World Champion, who's going to be involved for a week. We've got a local favourite in John Henderson in Aberdeen, but here in Newcastle, it's the lad from Bedlington, Chris Dobey, who was fantastic at the World Championship, and he was absolutely superb over the last few years. Not quite won a PDC title yet, he's made 3 finals. He was only beaten by Gary Anderson at Ali Pali, and he's going to kick things off in his one chance at Premier League glory this year at least. We may see him in the Premier League in future against Mensur Suljovic. I think it's a very close game to call. Now, the other games you're going to see James Wade taking on Raymond van Barneveld. Raymond van Barneveld, again, one of the stories of this year's Premier League campaign. His last ever year as a professional. He will be walking away from the game just like Phil Taylor did at the end of the year. Can he sign off with glory? Phil Taylor managed to win the World Match Play. Can Raymond van Barneveld win something? There's no guarantee he's going to play in everything. He's not even going to qualify by rights for a lot of tournaments, but he is in the Premier League. It's caused all kinds of consternation, but he has won it before. He could win it again. James Wade is the man he faces, and it's so difficult to predict with Raymond van Barneveld. I'm going to stay well away from predicting who's going to win that game. James Wade's the European champion and made the Masters final. Now, if you're picking somebody to win the whole thing, you've got to look at Michael van Gerwen. Now, Michael van Gerwen, every year he's been in the Premier League, he has finished top of the league standings. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win the whole thing. You've got top 4 who make the playoffs at the O2 in London. But Michael van Gerwen, I believe he probably will win the league standings. Doesn't necessarily mean he's going to win it. Who else are you going to look at? He's odds on to win the whole title. I don't think you're going to make any money. You've got to put enormous amounts of money if you're going to make anything from Michael van Gerwen winning the Premier League. I'd look at the other guys who provide a bit of value. And on the opening night, you've got the top 4 favourites all playing each other. Michael van Gerwen plays Michael Smith, a repeat of the final last year and a repeat of the World Championship final. You've got Peter Wright and Rob Cross, the 3rd and 4th favourites, playing each other. I'd look even further down. Daryl Gurney, right? Daryl Gurney went all the way through his debut Premier League campaign last year and went all the way to the final week and nearly made the playoffs. It was only Gary Anderson that stopped him from making that final 4. But we know that Gurney can make a major final and beat Michael van Gerwen. He did it last year in the Players' Championship finals. You can get 40 to 1 for Daryl Gurney to go and win the Premier League. And as an each-way bet, I think that's where the value is. Now, in terms of opening night, you've got Chris Dobey against Mensur Suljovic, as I said. You have got James Wade taking on Raymond van Barneveld. I think they're very close games. I can certainly see Chris Dobey and indeed some of the other contenders, as the PDC are calling them, taking points off the big-name players. But I think they're so close, it's difficult to call. I do fancy Daryl Gurney to win his opening game against Gerwen Price. Gerwen Price, the Welsh #1 and Grand Slam winner, he's got this ban, suspended ban, hanging over him. I think he's got problems. He was fined £20,000 for his behaviour at the Grand Slam of Darts. If he steps out of line again by being aggressive and playing his natural game, he's going to get banned for 3 months and get chucked out of the league. I think that's going to play on his mind, and I think Daryl Gurney can beat him and beat him well. If you want to back Daryl Gurney on the handicap, -2.5 legs, so beating him 7 to 4 or better, you can get 9 to 4 for Daryl Gurney to do that. I think that's a decent bet. When you're looking at Michael van Gerwen against Michael Smith, I think you're going to see the same result you saw in the Premier League final and the World Championship final. I think Michael van Gerwen is going to go and get the win. As for Rob Cross, Peter Wright, both of these guys have got question marks over them. Peter Wright's defending a lot of money, but so is Rob Cross this year. They're big, big years for the pair of them. I know that people think that Rob Cross is a one-hit wonder. I do not. I think he is too good, and I think he's going to kick things off in the Premier League with a win against Peter Wright. If you wanted to pick Michael van Gerwen and Daryl Gurney and Rob Cross to all win their games, you're looking at odds of 15 to 2. I think that's decent odds. For me, from Newcastle, it's our feeder zone bet.